Do you wear so much needlessly over-the-top jewellery that you consistently let off every metal detector in a 5-mile radius? Do you absolutely despise singing unless it's drenched in hundreds of processed effects to the point where you literally can't understand a single word? Do you look like this, or this? Well, it seems like Bladee is the perfect artist for you. Bladee is a Swedish rapper, singer, songwriter and fashion designer, and I use every single one of those terms extremely loosely, except maybe the last one. This dude has an off-the-charts level of steez and grants a percentage of his drip to any one of his listeners who are willing to learn from his wisdom. Alongside all of this, Bladee is also the founding member of Drain Gang, which is a household sewage servicing company with a unique selling point of hiring exclusively workers who blast ignorant trap beats and ear-splitting volume whilst cleaning out your pipes. Drain Gang is a music group that consists of this dude, and this dude. Enough about them, this video is about Bladee. So what music does Bladee make? You're gonna wish you never asked that question. Blade's music covers a variety of themes and subgenres within electronic and hip-hop music. His music is commonly said to fit in the cloud and experimental rap categories, although can literally be anything. This dude just wakes up and makes whatever the f he wants, releases it, and drainers lap it up every time. Typically, Bladee will combine emotional lyrics drenched in a disgusting amount of autotune with icy ethereal beats that pretty much always sound like a malfunctioning Tamagotchi with trap drums. Lyrically, Bladee often conveys a lot of emotion, while you would hear emotional lyrics if you could understand a single word he said. Not only does this man have an unhealthy obsession with autotune, he's also Swedish, meaning unless you're an expert linguist, you ain't understanding shit. If, by any miracle, you are able to understand the lyrics, or you just look it up on Genius, you will be met with schizophrenic ramblings in broken English, which somehow is more poetic than the majority of other artists within the genre. I can already see you raising your hands, especially you in the back, you freak. Let me guess, you want to know how on earth this happened. How did some random Swedish kid with a very minimal background in music, unless you count this, become a musician that's not only revered by countless individuals who probably need to touch grass more, but also very influential within his musical space? Well, in order to find out how something like this can happen, we need to go back to the earliest musical rumblings of Benjamin Reichwald, also known as Bladee. Bladee grew up in Skanstull, Stockholm, and would have a key interest in music from a young age. Unfortunately, this interest didn't manifest itself into any actual practical music skills, as his first venture into music would be a punk band. I literally cannot escape punk on this channel. Whatever I research is always punk. This band would be formed after Bladee met future collaborator and Drain Gang member Echo 2K a few years prior. The glistening, futuristic shine of Blade's later work would be preceded by a pretty filthy and lo-fi punk band, with the sound you'd expect from a group of Swedish kids who look like this, with zero musical knowledge, just inherent desire to make as much noise as possible. Similar to most people who aren't extremely cringe, not to mention suspect, Bladee distanced himself from the punk scene, replacing this hobby with graffiti, which appears to be the roots of his passion for art and design. Unfortunately, graffiti didn't quite fill Blade's creative void, although he was able to meet producer White Armour and rapper Tyboy Digital through this venture. With punk and spray paint behind him, he racked his brain. What will allow my creativity to be used at its full potential? Of course, autotune trap. White Armour would produce beats for fun around this time, leading to his friends freestyling over these beats. For a few of these friends, including Bladee, this sparked a serious interest. Bladee would originally rap under the name Ken Burns, which is obviously an absolutely abysmal name, so eventually decided on the name Bladee. But of course, he had to find a way to fuck up somehow, so he just slapped an extra E on the end of the name. This has come back to haunt Bladee, as 12 years later, he's still being called Bladee by white girls with an unhealthy obsession with piercings. Bladee and his friends would eventually record some of these songs, soaking these vocals in as much autotune as possible, inspiring them to start a collective based on their use of autotune. This collective would be named Gravity Boys, eventually becoming Drain Gang, after going through various name changes including Gravity Boys Shield Gang and just Shield Gang. They say lightning never strikes twice, but apparently in this case it did. There was another group of Swedish kids doing the exact same thing. Enter Sadboys. Bladee would reach out to Sadboys member Young Sherman, leading to a working relationship between the two groups, who had mutual friends beforehand. This resulted in Bladee being featured on the Young Lean song Heal You Blade Runner, featured on the Unknown Death 2002 mixtape. Of course, thanks to songs like Ginseng Strip 2002 and Kyoto, Young Lean was exploding onto the music scene at a ridiculously fast pace, leading to a lifestyle change that obviously wasn't suitable for a 16-year-old. This, combined with drug use, led to some pretty tragic events for Lean, which I'm not going to go into detail in this particular video. Bladee would be present for these early tours, but wasn't the main focus. This allowed him to ease into the challenges of stardom by witnessing it secondhand. This ridiculous flurry of Swedish rap would be continued with Blade's debut album Glue, again with another E slapped at the end. Glue would become incredibly successful on SoundCloud. This, combined with Bladee being attached to the virality of Young Lean at the time, allowed him to thrive in the underground rap scene. He remained there for a while, continuing to release project after project that always differed stylistically from the last. He didn't seem like he was directly trying to appeal to the masses, he was just releasing what he wanted to release. This obviously has resulted in a cult following that has become more maniacal as his popularity within the mainstream has increased. So what changed? What led Bladee to a more mainstream audience? 2 words: memes and irony. This would begin when this random bold motherfucker would give Red Light by Bladee a 1 out of 10, which obviously gave Bladee more attention online. This, combined with Blade's strange Twitter presence, began spreading the meme further. The jokes would multiply, with many either likening Blade fans to incels or just straight up calling Blade music terrible under the veil of irony. Regardless of the contents of these memes, the name Blade, which is already eye-catching thanks to the was reaching more eyes, and with the rise of melodic hip-hop, this style was becoming more popular, with Blade's popularity rising at a drastic rate directly because of these memes. This still remained relatively underground until a force more powerful than any of us could have ever imagined infiltrated the West: TikTok. With TikTok, every meme is injected with steam in terms of its reach and virality, thanks to China. The most powerful algorithm had made its way into the hands of incels, e-boys and drainers, who immediately all contributed to the cancerous spread of Blade memes and, more importantly, Blade music across the app. But the appeal of Blade can't just be memes. If that was the case, you wouldn't have teenagers basing their entire personality around Blade, so there must be more of an appeal. The appeal is of course the music, which sonically sounds unlike anything else in the industry. Much like Lean beforehand, Blade has crafted a style truly unique to him, combining otherworldly beats, a vocal style that sounds as alien as the instrumentation, and vast versatility that makes every project unique. I don't believe this is all just a fluke, where somehow the Swedish kid has made appealing music with a very unappealing formula. In order to understand the appeal of Blade's music, I believe you need to go back to his influences and environment when he was starting out. His own introduction to many of his influences came through the internet. These range from Lil B and Chief Keef to Bass Hunter and James Ferraro. In itself, these influences are varied enough to create something truly unique. However, when you combine these with the area in which he grew up, you can really begin to understand how the feeds happened. Sweden in the early 2010s was completely detached from any sort of hip-hop or rap-related culture, which forced Blade to invent this himself, stitching together these influences, creating something not only unique but authentic, which allowed him, alongside his contemporaries within Drain Gang and Sadboys, to lay the groundwork for not only their country but their genre. An extremely appealing aesthetic complements this, with the visuals and fashion that perfectly matches the sound, style and ironic nature of Blade as a whole. And although Blade hasn't pierced the mainstream in the same way Young Lean has been able to, it's only a matter of time. With the amount of unimaginative cash-grabbing sludge being out by pop and hip-hop, consumers crave something that isn't overproduced. They want something unique, authentic and ironic, even if it is a little rough around the edges. It's either that, or we all collectively listen to this music ironically, so we can look edgy and different in our Drain Gang merch and brag online as if we were in some exclusive club, when realistically, we're all literally just listening to some heavily auto-tuned Swedish guy spit Google Translate bars.